In the peaceful village of Shady Grove, there lived a not-so-ordinary pig named MeeN. While most pigs in the village were content rolling through mud puddles and basking under the sun, MeeN spent his days watching detective dramas, reading mystery novels, and sharpening his mind for the biggest goal of his life, becoming the greatest detective in the forest. MeeN carried his trusty magnifying glass everywhere, tucked a tiny notebook into his pocket, and practiced his best dramatic finger-pointing pose when no one was looking. But this morning an opportunity would arise that no mystery-loving pig could resist. MeeN trotted into Auntie Squirrel's bakery, ready to snag his usual loaf of freshly baked sunflower bread, when disaster struck. "Oh no, all my bread is gone," Auntie Squirrel wailed. MeeN's eyes sparkled. He flipped open his notebook and adjusted his magnifying glass. "Don't worry, Auntie Squirrel. Detective MeeN is on the case." MeeN hopped into action, examining every detail of the bakery. He jotted down notes: crime scene, Auntie Squirrel's bakery. Missing items: 12 loaves of freshly baked bread. Time of incident: early morning before the shop opened. Clues: no footprints, no signs of breaking in. Questions: how does someone steal bread without leaving tracks? MeeN followed the trail of breadcrumbs scattered across the floor. They led outside, weaving through the grass and to the bushes behind the bakery. MeeN's heart raced. Was the thief lurking nearby? "Caught you, red pod!" MeeN exclaimed dramatically, pointing at a figure nibbling bread near the bushes. Susie the mouse. Susie jumped in fright, nearly dropping her snack. "No, I didn't steal anything, I swear," Susie squeaked. "I only picked up the crumbs. Honest, I smelled something delicious and followed it here, but everything was already gone." MeeN furrowed his brow. The loaf Susie was eating was dry, too dry to be freshly stolen. Her story began to make sense. So the thief must have taken the bread earlier, but how did they leave no tracks? MeeN needed answers. He couldn't rely on crumbs alone. As news of the missing bread spread, more animals began gathering near the bakery, whispering and pointing fingers. First up was Twiggy the weasel, who had been seen lurking near the bakery with his suspicious satchel just yesterday. "Twiggy, what's in the bag?" MeeN inquired sharply. "Just some nuts," Twiggy grumbled, tipping the satchel upside down to show its contents. "I wasn't near the bakery this morning. I swear!" Twiggy said. Next came Polly the raccoon, infamous for her sticky fingers. Polly had been spotted eyeing Auntie Squirrel's bread shop on several occasions. "Polly, where were you last night?" MeeN asked, narrowing his eyes. Polly flinched but quickly regained her composure. "At the lake, fishing for frogs. Check my barrel. There's not a crumb in sight." Lastly, there was Uncle Hoot, the sleepy old owl who sometimes dozed atop Auntie Squirrel's roof. "Uncle Hoot," MeeN said slowly, eyeing him carefully. "Did you know Auntie Squirrel's bread was stolen?" Uncle Hoot sputtered, adjusting his glasses. "Who, me? You think I did it? I haven't been near that bakery all morning. Besides, do I look fast enough for sneaky business?" MeeN jotted notes furiously. Twiggy's bag, Polly's frogs, Uncle Hoot's denial. No one had concrete alibis, but something told MeeN that the answer wasn't so simple. MeeN returned to the bakery for one last sweep. His keen eyes scanned the room, searching for any overlooked clues. Suddenly, something caught his eye. High above, stuck on a tree branch outside, a piece of bread. MeeN climbed up carefully. Beside the crumbs, thin strands of feathers clung to the bark. MeeN's ears twitched. Feathers? This thief didn't walk, they flew. Excited, MeeN ran to Auntie Squirrel. "Auntie, think closely. Did anything unusual happen last night? Scratchy noises, strange shadows, anything suspicious?" Auntie Squirrel thought hard. "Now that you mention it, I did hear flapping. Wings, just above the chimney, but I didn't think much of it." MeeN grinned. He was getting closer. MeeN devised a plan to catch the thief in action. Hours passed. MeeN nearly fell asleep. Then whoosh, a dark shape darted downward. MeeN squinted through the dim light, flipping on his flashlight. "Uncle Hoot!" MeeN gasped. Uncle Hoot froze, his wings awkwardly tucked under a sack. Inside the sack, fresh bread. I can explain," Uncle Hoot stammered, setting the sack down gently. "I wasn't stealing. I only borrowed some bread to share with the hungry birds deep in the woods." MeeN raised an eyebrow. "Borrowed? Why didn't you just ask?" "Well, I worried everyone would think I was greedy. So I didn't," Uncle Hoot muttered sheepishly. MeeN sighed, but believed his story. Uncle Hoot apologized to Annie Squirrel, promising to pay for the lost loaves and help bake fresh batches the next morning. The animals cheerfully gathered to praise MeeN's detective work, celebrating the return of their bread supply. Uncle Hoot had redeemed himself, and Auntie Squirrel seemed happy. But MeeN felt unsettled. He stared at the empty trays in the bakery. "Something's strange," he murmured. Uncle Hoot confessed to taking 8 loaves, but Auntie reported 12 missing. Where did the other 4 go? MeeN whispered to himself, "The next mystery might be closer than I thought." But MeeN felt unsettled. He stared at the empty trays in the bakery. MeeN smirked, flipping his notebook shut. This wasn't the end. Somewhere in Shady Grove, someone, or something, was hiding the truth. MeeN whispered to himself, "The next mystery might be closer than I thought." But MeeN felt unsettled. He stared at the empty trays in the bakery. "Something strange," he murmured. Uncle Hoot confessed to taking 8 loaves, but Annie reported 12 missing. Where did the other 4 go? MeeN whispered to himself, "The next mystery might be closer than I thought." MeeN smirked, flipping his notebook shut. This wasn't the end. Somewhere in Shady Grove, someone, or something, was hiding the truth.